We'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome Johnny Vegas to the interview room here at the Wyndham Championship. Johnny, thanks for joining us. I was looking at some numbers, and if I got it right, I know you're making your 16th start of the season, and you've just played some really good golf. 16 of your last 18 rounds since Zurich have been subpars. You've thrown in some 63s, some 64s. Just some thoughts on how you feel like you're playing. Obviously, you're coming off the big win in Minneapolis a couple weeks back. With that said, just some thoughts on being here this week and how you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, super excited. Obviously, coming from a win a couple of weeks ago, last start, and yeah, it's been a good trend the past, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks, where my game is definitely starting to trend, the right way. It was a very, very slow start of the year, coming back from shoulder surgery, which is never fun. Especially you don't know exactly where you are when you start the season competitive-wise. So it took a little while to kind of get going, but I would say kind of mid-June or so, things started to feel a little bit better, ball striking-wise, chipping, putting, just kind of the whole package started to kind of come together, and obviously, kind of worked out pretty good last time in Minneapolis. So, coming in here, obviously super excited. It's a golf course that requires a lot of precision off the tee and into the greens and even around the greens. So, I love where I'm at and, excited to make a push to the end of the year.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and open it up for a couple questions. KP.
Johnny, when you're coming down the stretch there in Minnesota, where does your mind go? Do you think of past wins at all to draw encouragement, or are you just super focused one shot at a time? Or when you're walking down the fairway, what kind of goes through your head?
Yeah, well, I mean, coming down the stretch, there's definitely not a lot of time to think. I think if you start thinking a little too much, it can go the wrong way. So there's not a lot of time to think. I mean, you just have to stay as present as you can and focus on the task in front of you, right? I mean, I feel like I did that really good in Minnesota, especially that Sunday where I wasn't quite, doing my best when it comes down to ball striking and that control that I had, the previous 3 days. But kind of keeping it nice and present and sticking to one shot at a time and trying to execute the best way I could, really played out great, and it helped me a ton.
How did you celebrate?
You know what? It was more of a family celebration. It wasn't about me. It was about the family, kind of coming together. Everything we've been through for the past 2 years with me and the recovery and all of that. So I actually enjoy more watching my kids, enjoy the moment, watching them really embrace it. And obviously they're older enough now where they understand kind of what's going on, and they start to feel a little bit nervous. Because they start to understand, what it means in the moment that we're living through. So I actually got to enjoy that, more than what I was feeling or the joy of winning my 4th PGA Tour event. So, it was a little bit more special because of that.
Was there a point, going through the recovery process and the uncertainty of, where the thought entered your mind, am I going to have to call it a career?
No, I mean, not to that extent. I feel like I'm still, young enough to not go that route. But I mean, there's definitely doubts. Definitely doubts of, are you going to be the same golfer that you were before you had surgery or before you got injured? And like I said, especially I'll be 40 in, I don't know, what was to 13 days. So, things don't heal as quick as they used to when you were in the early 20s. And so the mindset has to be a little bit stronger to kind of get through a lot of those tough moments. But like I said, I mean, the goal has always been to be here, to perform, to do what I know what to do. And luckily the mind stayed in that moment through the recovery process. That has led me to here.
What's your take on Olympic golf? And kind of it seems like it's each time it's kind of building momentum.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. It was a shame that I wasn't there this past week. I was there in Rio and in Tokyo, and like I said, we just get so caught up here with professional golf and money and and all the benefits we have by playing the best tour in the world. that we sometimes forget, what golf is all about, right? It's greater than us. It's playing for, everyone out there that is supporting you and wants to root for you. And that's kind of what Olympic golf is. You're playing for your country. You're playing to give, your country a medal. You're representing your colors. Like I said, when you're playing for something bigger than yourself, you realize, that golf is a lot, bigger than this. And that's kind of what a lot of guys are realizing. I saw what Rory was talking about at the end of last week, that, it kind of felt good to hear what he said. Like I said, it's a whole different feeling. It's either those top three or nothing. And, when you're playing for that, it just means so much more.
And Scottie Scheffler, did you see how he kind of teared up the anthem?
I watched the end of it. And obviously that guy, it's in a different stratosphere right now. He's living in a different space. The type of stuff he's doing with a golf ball, it's kind of fun to watch, right? I grew up watching Tiger, and it's pretty similar to a lot of the stuff that Tiger did during all those years. So, I'm happy for him because obviously, good kid, and all of his family and everything, and what he does for the game of golf is always awesome.
Did you meet him at all when he was at Texas?
I did. Obviously, there's a big gap in age there, but I did, and obviously talking to Coach Fields there at the university, he told me how special he was, and obviously, I think he was the low am at the Masters and at the U.S. Open and all of that, and from an early age, you could tell he was going to be a great player.
Yeah. So you're currently outside of the 50 bubble, but you're within the 70. How much of going into the playoffs is on your mind this week, or are you kind of just focusing on this event?
Yeah, no, obviously the win changed the whole focus for me. Obviously I was with a big major medical, and we're just trying to build up and get better as every week went on. Obviously this put me with a great chance to get into the top 70, get into the playoff, and we all know how much it means to be in the playoffs, especially as you get closer to that top 50, which is the magic number right now. If you can get into those, it just makes the following year a lot easier, scheduling wise and all of that. So that's the number one goal. To get there, to make a pretty good run at the end, and trying to get there, because all of the benefits that you get from the top 50.
And then you played this course a few years before. What were your impressions of it?
I think it's a great golf course. As simple as that. If you play good, you're gonna shoot some good rounds. It's a course that can give you nightmares too. Because the greens, especially the way they are, super fast, super undulated. If you're not hitting the fairways, you won't hit it close to the pins. If you miss around the wrong side of the greens, it's a golf course where you have to be. Your game has to be sharp. You have to be mentally sharp, which I love.
In terms of the playoffs being, a very real possibility, was that something like before 3M? Did you think about like you might have a month off, or do you just live such day to day that you didn't like?
You obviously you think about all of it, right? With the big picture, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to stay in the 1 week at a time. I was definitely taking it 1 week at a time, and I knew if I had to take a month off, it wouldn't be a bad deal. A bad deal for me, because obviously with all the injury, all the recovery stuff, it would give me more time to prepare and get ready for the fall and all of that. So, like I said, that was there. Luckily, it's not there anymore, and we can focus on this week and hopefully a pretty good run through the playoffs. So, it's a good problem to have.
There's a cool clip of Sahith Theegala kind of cheering for you at the end at the 3M when you won. I'm just wondering, did you see that clip, and then what's your relationship?
Well, I remember him coming up to me as I'm going to the scorer stand, and congratulating. Which, like I said, that kid is amazing, man. That kid. We both practice at the same place in Houston. We live fairly close to each other, so we get to see each other quite a lot when we're home. It's hard to find a nicer guy out here than him. And like I said, that's kind of what golf is all about. That's kind of what the PGA Tour is all about. There's such a good camaraderie. out here that even though we're trying to beat each other every day, it's good to to feel that camaraderie every time that you play, and he's definitely kind of one of those guys that you're rooting for at the same time that you're trying to beat.
With the injuries and such, does your pre-tournament preparation, is it different than it was, I guess, when you were younger?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're trying to to really put a lot more time into trying to get the shoulder as loose and as stable as possible. So it takes a little bit of time, pre and post the round, recovery-wise. So, like I said, as you get older, I'm sure you've heard this before, as you get older, it just takes a little bit more time to get things ready, and the recovery is not as good as it used to be. So, like I said, it's not that that it's impossible, but it just takes a little bit more work, which is part of the journey.
Do you think the average career in golf will get shorter over time?
I mean, I would say so, especially, like I said, as you see some of these kids, from such an early age getting to the PGA Tour. As much as we love golf, being here week after week, it kind of drains you. It kind of wears you out and all of that, and golf doesn't get as fun as it was when you were a kid. So obviously my rookie year I was 26, I think I was mature enough to just kind of take everything and enjoy the process. And I've been here for 14 years. 14 seasons now. This is my 14th year. That you still get to enjoy that. But I mean, if you get here at 40, 20 years doing it, it's harder. So I'm assuming it's going to start to come down a little bit, but you never know. I mean, technology has changed everything, and who knows what it will do in the future.
I did want to ask just one more. Coach Fields from Texas, what's he meant to you kind of in your career and kind of supporting you and just from along the way? Yeah, no,
I mean, Coach Fields, it's kind of one of those pillars that you find in your life, right? I mean, it's a guy that obviously gave me a tremendous opportunity to play golf there, such a good program, and everything he meant to play for that school, right? Being around Ben Crenshaw, being around Tom Kite, being around Justin Leonard, some of those guys that have been the greats in this game, to have access to that in a consistent basis, was important. And obviously all the tools that the school give you to be successful. Like I said, I mean, I think going there was probably the best decision I've made so far in my life, and you just created such a good opportunity for me to be successful in life.
All right, we all good. Well, Johnny, thank you. We always appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.